Hey guys, happy Wednesday the 16th. Sorry I didn't get a video out yesterday. Kind of a bit of a crazy day, but on some days it's just not that much exciting to share with you. But um, a few things I wanted to cover today. I'm about to get my computer out and start getting back tonight's chapters of the book, or at least sections of chapters, because I find myself writing, I'll tell you what, quite a bit. I'd actually like your guys' feedback. I'm doing I will have obviously the book edited and proofread before I'm done. Um, but I'm writing it, and I know the early days are um, a lot more interaction with people, and that's where a lot of the story is coming from. There's certainly definitely memorable moments and observations through the back end, um, but I'm just writing the best way I know how, and I think that what I'm trying to accomplish is to have I want the reader to kind of be along on the journey with me, to meet some of the people, the characters, the experiences that I had, and that requires me going into some detail. So I hope it's not overbearing, but as I said, it's a day by day journal essentially, and then it's got some observations. So there's some long chapters, which there are. I'm finding it out. I hope that does. I know I'm not going to please everybody, but just so you guys know, that's kind of where the book's going to kind of go. I'm not talking about every encounter, but I am giving some detail as opposed to I met Mike and spent the night with Mike and his family, and he lives in this area, and blah blah blah. But what did I take away from Mike? What made it special? How did we come to meet? And there's a lot of dialogue a lot of times, and I'm sharing that with you guys. So I just want to kind of let you know that. So I'm amazed myself as a first-time writer, maybe second-time writer, but uh, once you start going, how uh, the words just flow and the content, and it's not time consuming as much as the content surprises me as to how much there is. So anyway, I'm getting ready to do that. I got home from work about a half hour ago. Dogs are fed and we're good to go. So um, I did want to talk about a few things today. Um, One story I just posted to my Facebook page was shared with me at work about a really maybe sad, um, maybe sad story. It certainly is that way, but I tend to try to. I think life isn't duration; it's how it's lived and mental. And there's a story I put on my Facebook page. I'm going to talk about a little bit here, and it was shared with me at work today by a conference call we had because I thought it was powerful. I wanted to share that with you guys. So I'm not going to take the credit for it. I will share the backstory of a gentleman, Tyler, I believe it was Tyler Trent, a Purdue University student, and that even hits a little bit of home. Not that doesn't hit home. He certainly hits home, but I met Kelly and Scott and outside of Hannah, Indiana, and their son Seth goes to Purdue. They were graduates of Purdue, so you start to tie things in. It has a little bit even more meaning to you. But Tyler was a young man that is just a huge Purdue fan, and he was diagnosed with inoperable cancer. And there were some really cool things happening later in his life. One of the things I saw was that he had made a bet with an ESPN sports anchor, Scott Van Pelt, when Purdue played Maryland basketball, and if the team lost, they had to shave the other team's P or M in the side of their head, um, or have it painted on, because Scott's bald, and I think Tyler, through the chemo, was as well. But anyway, he won, and Scott Van Pelt had to put the P on the side of his head, which he did. But forget about the I don't want to say gimmicks, but the you know recognition in that regard. What really amazed me about the young man was his uh, view of life, and essentially the video I posted on my Facebook page. I'm trying to go post it from my personal to my PTT site. Is just how he embraced life. Dabo Sweeney, I talked about the other day, the coach of Clemson, was at the White House at the luncheon and referenced this young man that he basically said, "Look, I'm in hospice. I don't know if I'm waking up tomorrow, but when I wake up each day, I have a choice. I have a choice to make that a great day. Um, you know, here's a young man on his last days of life, still acknowledging that he had some control over what kind of day he had, and that leads me into kind of my lesson for the day for myself, but I think it's something that we can learn from if we point the thumb and look in the mirror and ask ourselves, how often do we do that? And frankly, how often do maybe we need someone else to do that for us, um, to help in that regard? And how often do we ask for it, or are we so busy putting forth our right fighting kind of thing? So, talking about having a choice, I went into work today, and I was really not anticipating a good day. Um, there's a lot of reasons. I won't go into too much detail, but let's just say that I'm not the most popular person in my facility at the moment because people, um, change is difficult for anybody. Anytime somebody new comes in and changes a policy or a procedure or whatever, but at the same time, uh, perception is reality. If this person here thinks I'm a complete jerk, and that person has never met me, and this person tells them I'm a complete jerk, guess what I am to that person, right? And in my working relationship, and there are two different factions, quite frankly, that I'm not very popular with right now. But it'll all be worked out. But that's what today was. My point is, the challenge that I have with one group of the folks is there's a language barrier there, largely Hispanic, and so communication is difficult. Anybody who's met me over the years knows for the most part that I will go out of my way, and I probably do more for others than is ever done for me. But as I've known and grown through society, there's a whole lot of people out there that will take and take and take and appreciate it, but as soon as you do something they don't agree with, then you're the bad guy, so to speak. That's kind of where I thought today was going to go. But fortunately for me, we had a sit-down meeting, and because I wasn't able to communicate as readily as um, my manager could, we were able to communicate. And by the time of the conversation, they may still have their concerns with me, but I think they have a new perspective for me. And likewise, I may have my concerns for them still, but I have a new perspective for them. My point being, and I put this into my personal life, not professional life, you know, how important is communication? Um, you know, frankly, I knew these guys were upset with me, and I tried to get them to speak with me, but they just kind of wouldn't. And I pride myself on not just, even in my own home and with my children, I don't just tell them why we should do something. I explain the benefits and why we're doing it, why we're taking this trip, this day, whatever it might be. But I look back at my personal relationship and how sometimes it could go, not often, but sometimes haywire, real quick, when just a simple communication will be all it takes. But today, as much as I think I'm a good communicator and that, I've tried to be fair with folks, they didn't see it that way. And it took somebody else to step up and come in between and say, look, let's hear what you have to say. Let's hear what he has to say. Let's, and give a perspective. And, that happens frequently. And I wonder how many times we actually, in life, and I'm rambling today, really do that. As an example, I just got run writing a story in my book about a situation that I found on the journey where a family member didn't talk to their parents for like 4 years because of essentially pride and hurt and pain. But my point is, one group could reach out so much, the other group could reach out so much, but maybe it would have taken that outside person. Let me talk about my own personal family, very closely for a moment. My very close family. So my immediate family consists of my mom and my brother. My mom, who's in her 80s now, and my brother. Now, there's no doubt that my mom loves me dearly, as she does my brother. There's no doubt my brother and I love each other, and there's no doubt I love my mom. But growing up, for whatever reason, my mom and I know the reason really, and I wish I could maybe take some of it back, but my mom and I would butt heads frequently and quickly. And at times it was frustrating, at times it was what's the word I'm looking for? It was deserved. In this regard, you know, I don't know why this is, but this has been, I've seen it with me on both sides of the fence. I've seen it with many people in lifetime. You know, my brother could tell my mom, the sky is blue outside, and I could tell my mom the sky was blue outside, and she would receive it two different ways. Maybe it's tone of voice, maybe it's context, whatever reason. And I'm pointing the thumb at me now and saying, same thing. I might show, and this is the way I am with my immediate family, and it's a downfall of mine. I can be very patient with the rest of the world, but with my own immediate family, I don't know if I expect more. I don't know what it is, but I tend to get frustrated with them more easily. This is in particular with my kids. I just expect more, and where I might tolerate more from somebody else, and say, they're just kids. With my own, it's not so much. So, and maybe it takes that outside person that sees it to have the courage to say, hey Jim, maybe this, or and because people just see things differently. In that relationship I was talking about from my journey, what if somebody had seen that from the outside and said, look guys, let's just get this out on the table. Let's just talk about this. I mean, this is ridiculous. 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months. We're talking 4 years. Right? And I wonder how many times in life do we need that in our own lives, and how many times in life could we be that person? So that was my kind of message for the day, to kind of give you some food for thought. Excuse me. Yesterday, somebody from the PTT family, shared a video about a song I felt was really powerful, and I shared it. And one person commented as well, and I hope you all got a chance to watch it. I'm not expecting everybody to be moved the same way by different things, but when I created the website before the journey, I had hoped it would become something that we would rally behind, that it wouldn't be just me delivering messages, that other people would share things like that. Now, I'm not the best social media wise with passing things along and sharing things, but I'm asking y'all, if you see positive stories, uplifting stories, personal things that have happened to you, please share them with me, okay? And that's what I'd like that to become. So that's what I'm asking. And then to wrap up tonight, in the world of the absurd, which politics essentially is to me, I swear to you, I read a headline this morning that our vice president claims that ISIS is defunct, no longer dead, whatever the terminology is. And this evening I get home and I hear how there was a bombing that killed, I think, 3 and injured 1 American soldiers that ISIS is claiming. We're so quick to want to proclaim victory. Let's just be happy that we haven't had anything of substance happen before today, recently. Okay, why do we got to declare victory? Right? Are you going to get a pat on the back and say, yeah, you guys really did? I mean, to think that we did is absurd. To think that we'll ever end terrorism, racism, it's always going to exist in some form somewhere, but we can work to minimize it. But to proclaim victory like that is just ridiculous to me. So anyway, that's just kind of my goofy thought for the day. Love you guys. Thanks for hanging in tight with me, and talk to you soon.